Do you remember one of the things we did a long time ago that ended up being kind of funny was that it ended up dovetailing in some story about, oh, we were doing funny names of weddings, like names that went together. Do you remember that? I mean, a long time ago.
Vaguely.
And
Vaguely.
there was something about like a burger, something burger wedding or whatever, and it was like ham burger wedding or something, and I don't know, you had said something about maybe Mayor McCheese, officiated it or whatever, and I don't know why I was thinking of that.
I kind of remember that.
I remember it being a lot funnier then than it is now.
I'm sure it's on a CD somewhere, right?
I would think so.
Let me log in.
At the Smithsonian?
I don't know.
At the Library of Congress?
Why can't I do that? I need to change.
At the landfill on Southwest 15th between Council and MacArthur there, where Rockwell would go through if there was a landfill. I think that's where it is. So everybody rush out there now because I cannot tell you how much that's worth. Start digging. Yeah, you'll probably find some unsavory things there, but it'll be worth it.
All right, there we go. Hey.
I can't wait to see something live.
We're live. We're
Glad we are.
well.
I'm struggling over here.
Live right now.
I am struggling. Do I have to go all the way out and come back in? Is that what you're telling me? I bet I will.
No, you should see us on YouTube right now.
I'm on it. I just see 2 hours from 6 days ago at the top. So.
What's weird is it shows a picture of us from the last show. What happened? What
That's what I'm
happened?
saying, man. So we can't go through Facebook?
We are.
No, but I thought you said.
Yeah, I just posted it.
Okay. All right, man. See, I don't know what's going on. I'm just here, just floating along. It's a good thing I'm one of those type B, laid back kind of surfer guy kind of attitudes.
It's got the picture from last week on there. But it should bring us up to this week. Hello.
Those type B, laid
Oh,
back.
there it
is,
is,
right there.
It's got the picture. I'm going to take us off the last week on there. But it should bring us
Look,
up to this
double.
week.
Those
Hello.
type B, laid
Oh,
back.
there it
is,
is,
right
right
there. That's like that Norman Rockwell thing I was talking about last week. The picture with the picture with the picture. Scared me a little bit.
Oh, Chase is on with us. Hey, Chase, how's it going?
Glad Chase knows where we are. I have no idea.
Chase followed the hints and knew where we were.
It's like that exit room thing, except in this case, you're sorry that you got out of the room and availed yourself to this wherever we are, whatever platform we happen to be occupying.
Chase said I need to go to Great Cliffs. Listen, we're going to play a game later that Scott doesn't know about, but it's going to be exciting and fun, and it's for you, the listeners. Trust me, it goes along with what Chase just said.
Sweet, I can't wait. Big fan of surprises, I can't tell you how much.
How about we start this thing, Scotty?
Okay. Maybe during the beginning?
Probably the beginning.
You can shoot me some idea of how to find us here.
Oh, well, what do you want to look on? Just go to our Facebook page.
It'll be fine.
Go to our Facebook page.
All right.
It should be the top post.
All right.
And then it'll take you to the YouTube page.
Well, we'll just see about that.
Technology.
Yeah, but it doesn't, so we'll just keep going.
All right, let's start this thing.
Let's do it anyway.
3.
It's time for excessive celebration.
2. 1. 0.
Welcome to Excessive Celebration. Billy Bell, Scott Owens, right here from Crossover Radio, Crossover Sports Radio, bringing you sports and entertainment year-round, Bill.
All the entertainment.
All
of it.
All of it, all the pretty, all the pre, post, middle virus talk that's necessary. We're going to bring it to you as we always do. There is nothing that's going to stop that guy from knowing and me pretending to know all there is to know about sports.
You
Play or not.
just make it up as we go, right? That's the whole idea behind sports is.
We write speeches for very important political people as well, as you could tell, as we make it up as we go.
Yes, exactly.
Is that fair?
Exactly.
Well, Bill, right here from Serve,
Home of the Cafe Americana.
that's right. We are right here on historic Route 66, beautiful downtown Bethany, bringing you sports and entertainment. Not necessarily in that order, but most likely in that order. Isn't that fair to say, Bill?
The magic show's at the end.
Yeah, it is. It's
Funny.
like the
Hat.
yeah, very nice. That's not. It's kind of like a fireworks display, right?
Yeah. Just hope it all doesn't go off at once.
No, a fireworks display.
Oh.
Roundy round, Bill. Want to talk a little NASCAR? Can we talk a little NASCAR, or do you want to talk maybe some recent Little League sports first?
Scott, let's just jump right into it. The fans have been clamoring for it. Little Cubs get a W this week. Actually, today.
Hello, little people.
There you go. That's what we've been waiting for. Let's hear about it.
Little Cubs 14-9 over the Tornadoes. Tornadoes fought.
Ooh.
Very, very tough game. Couple of home runs. Big Jake. And also, I believe it was Jackson who hit the other one on a, what should have been a single/double turned into a home run, but it worked out for the Cubs. Next game is Thursday, and then we go into tournament play.
Man, oh man, big weekend. How many? Like 4 games, you said?
I have no idea.
You gotta keep winning?
Absolutely. So it went from a Saturday-Sunday deal to now we're playing Fridays, and I'm guessing Friday's like a play-in, and we're playing, I guess, the year up. So it's going to be a test. It could tell you how good these Cubbies can be.
So if they get in, win the play-in, are they going to be in that bubble in Orlando with a chance to come from behind and catch? Well, I guess the Wizards are in ninth, so they're going to get a shot in there.
I'm pretty sure they can beat Orlando.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
All right. Well, Bill, that's exciting. I know that my grandson's pitching tonight, and it's his debut performance, and I think he's probably going to really enjoy getting back over to the left side of the infield based on some early reports I have. But it's early.
Is he throwing the cheese?
I think he's tossing the Munster. Yeah,
How old?
10.
10. Are they able to throw curveballs or sliders?
Not on purpose.
Okay.
No.
But if you technically don't know what you're doing,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
If somebody happens to go, when you're older, if you drop that shoulder a little and just get your, that's some of that stuff's going to happen. Yeah, but no,
Chase-
not at this point.
Chase goes, grandson, I thought you were in your 30s.
I am, but I was born on a leap year, Chase. So it's tough, man. It's tough.
That'd be interesting because I remember pitching when I was younger and just naturally.
Born in the 30s.
Right? Naturally, my ball just hooked anyway. I mean, no matter how I threw it, it was just going to tail some way or the other. And then I was taught, hey, you can throw curveballs and sliders. But I don't remember what age I started doing all that because I could throw a curveball and I could throw a slider, and then my ball would just naturally do whatever.
Were you pitching out in western Oklahoma?
No, I was pitching right in the middle of Oklahoma.
Okay, I was thinking of the Clinton curve.
No.
To the left.
The only thing I wish I would have done different is I didn't have that 12-6 curveball. I had the 1:30 in the afternoon to maybe about 7:30.
Depending on time of year.
Yeah.
Depending on time of year and cloud cover. That's beautiful.
Scott,
Talk about my boy.
NASCAR?
Yeah,
You
roundy
got
round.
NASCAR?
Yes. Kevin Harvick he's unbelievable, Bill. This guy.
Well, yeah, when all the legends retire.
Well, he won for the second time since they returned. He's been out front 151 laps, more than twice as many anyone else at Atlanta. He's won 3 times there. He won the 51st time this year. You got to be doing something right when you're beating guys or breaking ties with guys named Ned and Junior.
Let me ask, should we be testing his car for PEDs at this point?
Well, how about the other guy though? Brad Keselowski's won it. He won 2 in a row. I'll tell you whose car we don't have to test for PEDs.
Who's that?
How about Clint Boyer? Starts out number 4, ends up in 20th place.
Oh, he was this close.
Come on. I was watching it. He went from 4th, then he was 5th, then he was 6th. Then he got to 3rd, and I'm thinking, this is going well. And then, you know how they split the thing, and I can't find him up there. And then I can't find him down here, and I'm thinking, oh. And he just kind of disappeared back into Clint Boyerville.
So I'll be honest, I haven't watched a NASCAR race, or at least a full one, in a while, but I did watch this last one. I watched parts of it anyway, but I do like the updated feature of you've got your leaderboard. At first, I'll be honest, I thought I was watching a video game.
It was a little weird, isn't it?
Because I was like, do they do that now? But then I watched it and I was like, okay, this is live. Okay, I get it. But I like that feature of it. It makes it easily readable. You can tell how many laps your driver is behind or where they are. The thing I've always wondered about NASCAR, and maybe some of our listeners can tell me this. If you've got a guy, so let's go back a couple years, like Jimmy Johnson, who was so dominant for years, right? Or even
he was.
Earnhardt or
Tony
Gordon,
Stewart was for a while.
Tony Stewart. How is it from, we'll say, a 3-year period they can be so dominant and nobody can seem to catch up to them? Like, does that make sense? Like, the cars and the parts can't be that far off that nobody can seem to catch this guy. Is it just because he's that good of a driver compared to everybody else? Or?
I think there's driving skill to it at the peak of your everything that goes into being a good driver, whether it's the still having great hand-eye coordination, maybe say at 31 or 32, but you've seen those tracks a few more times than some of the guys that are coming up that are pretty good, but you still got better coordination than the guys that are a little bit older, like Clint Boyers of the world who are 41. And so I think some of that's true, but you can't discount your crew with NASCAR either. And I'm not talking about your mechanics, I'm talking about your pit crew. And all the little things, the other day, that race was crazy out of whack. It was like 3 seconds
Chase said
between them.
He feels it comes down to skill. I can't imagine the actual cars being too different. I tend to agree. Like, there's only so many manufacturers and so many parts that I got to feel it's fairly close, and maybe it's just a driver's edge. And I know, and I don't know if they've relaxed this rule or changed this rule to some degree, but I know back in the day you could only race or practice race at like 5 courses before you actually raced them during the season. So a lot of guys would go to like your road courses and stuff like that. Because why do you feel the need to practice left turns all the time?
Right. Well, but again, like at this course, this was a tri-oval.
You know what they should do?
It's like the old Mazda.
Change it up and make everybody go right turns.
That'll be fine.
Just to be different.
Yeah, just see how that wears on your tires.
Right.
See what it's like getting in there and getting your gas filled from that side.
Can you imagine? So, like, when you get out of like a, like I know when I get off like a forklift or something like that, and you go into your car, it's a little bit different, and you got to adjust a little bit. Coming from a NASCAR to go get in your Ford F-150 or whatever, and being like, yeah, I'm about to gun this and cut this guy off, and it's got to feel a little different. Yeah,
I always wondered if like Tony Stewart jumped in a Prius or something like that, drove away.
I don't
and
think
then
the
still
words-
got out and beat people up.
I don't think the words "jumped in" has ever applied to Tony Stewart, and Prius would. I don't see him fitting. into
No, I imagine he's thrown some words around that may contain certain similarities to that, and maybe even gotten mad enough to run over a guy or two. But
No.
those kind of things can happen. It's NASCAR. It's good stuff. Well, it's interesting though, Bill, because that racetrack, talking about the difference, if you watched a little bit of that, you may have heard Gordon commenting about them trying to hang on to that red line and to hang on to the inside, to stay down as low as possible. And that certain cars and certain drivers seem to be able to minimize drift better than others. And they kept talking about that the whole time. So I think to some degree, sometimes it might just be something as simple as the nuances of one suspension system for a certain type of car that's a little bit different and behaves a little bit differently at Atlanta than it would at Talladega on a much tighter track on a much higher bank. So there's all kind of things that go into it.
I wonder what the average lap count is on when they have to use the bathroom the first time.
Less than a lap. I can tell you at least from the NASCAR experience at Las Vegas, that's what it was for me. Less than a lap.
Less than a lap.
Yeah.
I gotta feel it's probably in that 120 range.
No, it's
Like,
about 110 is all it took for me.
Like,
Oh, you're talking laps. I was on
Like-
miles per hour.
you gotta think they've hydrated all day long pretty much, and then probably you take the pit stop before you get in the car, then you go out to the car, and then about 120 feels about right. I'm putting it at 120.
Yeah. Like I said, about the second turn was a nice warm feeling. Nobody noticed I was wearing
Yeah.
black jeans.
Tell me what happens if I missed anything.
Yeah.
Did he turn left? He turned left.
It felt
whoa,
like it.
whoa.
It felt like a left turn.
You know what they need though in every NASCAR bathroom is a TV. You can just sit there. Why even have the door at this point? And just sit there and watch the TV, just like they do in the Thunder games. Like they got
Right.
TVs in the bathroom. I mean, they still have doors, but you can sit there and use the bathroom, watch the game. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could just figure out a way to get beers delivered to you or whatever your favorite beverage is while you stand there.
If there was ever a sport that did not need doors on their restrooms, it's NASCAR.
That's
Just
true.
saying. Just
No,
saying.
that's fair. That's fair. Bill, Amanda Nunes,
She's pretty good.
she appears to be someone that may be fairly dominant to the point where nobody wants to fight her anymore.
Yeah,
Except for you. I hear you've entered, she'll move up from bantamweight you're in.
she's entered that realm of Cyborg, right? So Cyborg for years was untouchable, and nobody wanted to fight her. Then Amanda Nunes put her down. The thing that we talked about last show is, well, where's that peak for her, right? So when does she hit that peak, and does she keep it, or does she keep going down that road of where she loses it? She's got, I think, another couple of years in her to where she's going to just be dominant. And now in the fight game, there's always, one punch or one kick can knock you out. But man, is she big time.
Here's what I propose. Got some pretty sad news over the weekend about Conor McGregor. He's going to retire.
For the third time. Third time.
I got you want equality? You want to put gender and all types of differences aside in the world where we're all just one big happy family and everyone's with everyone else. Let's start by having Amanda Nunes fight Conor McGregor. I can't imagine how much money that fight would generate all over the world. And if by chance she was able to land whatever it took early enough, because he's just a big enough you-know-what to not train because it's a girl. I'd pay $200 to watch that fight. Just by the off chance that Amanda would take him out.
Well, Chase is he's in doubt that McGregor is retired. I'm kind of with him. You know, the biggest thing.
Hey, I hear the Eagles aren't touring anymore.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Any of them.
Oh, okay. The biggest thing I think that would help Conor McGregor into whatever he's doing, which I can't figure out, and it seems like nobody can figure out. It seems like a publicity thing for him.
Yeah.
But
Kind of like John Jones talking about he's going to vacate his
Yeah.
title.
if somehow you can get Khabib and McGregor on Fight Island, and that be the first fight you have, or the main fight
Yeah.
that you
Have you seen that place?
think about the money that would roll in. Think about everything, because everybody's wanted this fight. The payday on it's going to be huge. I don't know how you would turn that down. Plus, it's a guy that you hate, that you tried to
Yeah. Yeah.
get to on a bus. I mean, it's. I just what. So let's say he is retired. Let's say he's
Right.
he's truly he means it, right? Anything outside of UFC? Can you see Conor McGregor doing anything else? Like that's not related, whether it be an analyst or whatever with the UFC. I mean,
Working for Vince McMahon, maybe.
maybe,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, you've
bouncer at Foxwoods. at
Well,
some
you've had
point.
Brock, you've had a couple of other guys, Cain Velasquez go to the UFC or WWE. I get it; it makes a little sense, but
Hey, maybe at some point, since you can get paid for your likeness, he goes back to college. You could be the leprechaun at Notre Dame.
yeah. Somebody's got to protect that gold.
Just trying to help you out there. Somebody's got to paint those helmets every Friday night.
Chase says actor. Hey, maybe he could be the next Captain America.
Yeah, or Ant-Man.
Hey, there you go. That'd be weird. Yeah.
Hey, if Bruce Lee could be the Green Hornet's buddy.
I thought that was Seth Rogen or no, Seth Rogen was the Green Hornet.
Yes. The original TV show, The Green Hornet.
And
back
so
in
was
the
Ryan
70s.
Reynolds.
Bruce Lee
Yeah.
was whatever the dude's name was.
No, whatever.
Kato?
Kato, there you go. Yeah.
Not now, Kato. It's from a different movie. Peter Sellers. Not now, Kato.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Sports Radio. Reminding you, get that app today. Find us on Facebook, YouTube. We're live right now on YouTube. Join us in chat.
Does your dog bite?
And iTunes. Scotty, what do we got next?
Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about an MMA fighter survey. That's going to be fun. Then we're going to jump to Korean baseball because the guys that were doing so well are still tearing it up. Billy wants one of these guys on his Mariners roster very quickly, even though it may be a long time
Take all of them.
before the Mariners do anything. And a little more Major League Baseball. And then Scott's Thoughts. We're going to talk about one of our favorite subjects here. That's right. A soft serve of a man all wrapped up in a brand new uniform in Brooklyn.
I know you missed us.
Hey, remember the 80s? Yeah. Yeah. That music is where it takes me, Bill. Big hair and montage.
All right, Scott. I've got a game.
Okay.
I've got a game. Chase brought it up. So it's going to be name things or guys or people that I look like with this hair. I've got the Gundy mullet rocking right now. So that would be my number one choice, I think. I can also see golfer. Golf caddy.
I think you look like a college microbiology professor.
There we go.
I know a couple that look a little bit like you. An older version of you. A much older version of you. But still, you have kind of an old soul, Bill. So, yeah, I'd say you look like a analytical chemistry guy.
Chase says he doesn't usually associate with people that have mullets. You're associated, Chase. Sorry to let you know that.
Yeah, I mean, even Miley Cyrus was associated with somebody that had a mullet.
Hey, don't tell my heart.
That's right. Start hurting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hurty flirty heart. This survey, Bill, they pulled 171 pros from 24 countries across all the different MMA promotions, weight classes, even experience levels. They got these answers to these questions. Who is the most underrated fighter in MMA
Is this ever or right now?
right now?
Okay.
And Demetrius Johnson, 17 votes. Leon Edwards, 9. Douglas Lima, 7. You had Henry Cejudo and Patricio Freire. I've heard of Cejudo. I hadn't heard of the other guy. Were up there. They were the most underrated. Now, same group of people. Who is the most overrated fighter in MMA today?
That's a tough one.
Out of the 190, this person received 42 votes.
Are they going to say McGregor?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. The distance from first to second place got 13 votes.
Who was second?
John Jones.
Really?
Yes.
How?
Sean O'Malley, 9. Paige Van Zant, 7. Cejudo, 5. So he made both lists.
I get the Van Zant. a
Henry
little
made
bit.
both lists.
But I just don't see Jones being. He hasn't lost. Whether you want to call him on PEDs or whatever, the dude is just utterly talented.
Sure.
I mean, he's anything you can do, he can do 100 times better. It's crazy absurd what he can do in the ring. Now his outside of the octagon stuff is different, but.
Yeah.
I don't think he's overrated by any means.
All right, now listen to this because this circles back to something kind of interesting. So, without a doubt, I mean, about 20%, 22% of the people of the 190 picked McGregor as the most overrated fighter, all right?
Right.
All right. Who's the biggest jerk you've met in MMA? Now there
Current?
were now again not 190 people, Bill. The leading vote getter only got 7, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2s and 1s. It goes way down after that. So
Is it current?
yes,
Oh, I was gonna say Brock Lesnar.
and again, these are the biggest jerk you've met in MMA. In other words, doesn't mean you fought them.
Right.
Just the biggest jerk you've met in MMA.
Who would it be?
Dana White is first. Colby Covington is next. Then you have Jones, Hall, Couture, Kavanaugh, Lesnar, Cejudo. He made every
Wow.
list. But you know who isn't on the list as the biggest jerk?
Who's that?
Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
It's interesting that these people thought he was way by far the most overrated guy, but none of them seemed to dislike him for it.
I mean,
That's kind of interesting, Bill.
I kind of get the over it, but he brings a lot of that on himself. I mean, he's a self-promoter.
Oh, yeah.
When you got guys like that can promote themselves, whether they can fight or not, and realistically, 90% of the time, he backs it up.
Yeah.
So I can't really call him overrated. I am surprised by the Demetrius Johnson thing, though. I would have thought like a Tony Ferguson or Cerrone or
somebody that's a little bit
who's
more
not-
antagonistic to some degree. Or-
somebody who's maybe not hit a championship or maybe not been a champion but only once or something like that or who always just goes out and gives good solid fights, I would think, but I don't know.
Well, I thought, and then I don't. Maybe you can help here, Bill. Have they heard any more about how Cody Staman's little brother passed away? I don't know if you watched that fight.
I watched that fight. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my God! Because at the time, no one still knew, and that I think there was different speculation, and I'm not going to share any of it.
Yeah.
Because it was speculation. But that fight, I think that was. How hard was it for the other guy? Because he had to go fight to win. He obviously did, because Cody was fighting for two people. And so you got to beat this guy, and then you got to hold on to him and hug him because he's falling apart as soon as the fight's over.
It was crazy.
I just didn't know if you had heard any more about it or anything, because that was, man, that's as real as it gets.
No, I mean, he literally put it all on the line, and you can just tell when that fight was. I don't know that I've ever seen a fighter more drained. It's very reminiscent of the Brett Favre when his father passed away game. Like that release when it was over. I mean, you could tell. Just I don't know that he'll ever fight that good again in that moment. Like that was amazing, but. I mean, your hearts go out for him and everything. It's just that's a tough situation to be in, especially being in the UFC and like, okay, come punch me in the face a couple of times and I'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, I remember, and I trust me, I'm not comparing from a physical standpoint at all, but just how much emotion for an athlete with a lot on the line matters. I remember Bubba Watson winning his very first golf tournament. It happened right after they had adopted a little boy because they couldn't have a child of their own. And that had come on the heels of his father just passing away. Yeah. And I remember him winning that golf tournament, hugging his wife and his new baby. And I never had seen anything. I mean, it was unbelievable. So then you shift it to something as horrible as this is. I just thought it was an unbelievable moment. And one of those things that where sports kind of almost is mimicking the world to some degree.
Yeah.
Bill, I hope this doesn't continue. I'd like to have a week where somebody prominent doesn't pass away. But Johnny Majors, one of the great football coaches of all time, and where he might seem quite old to a lot of the people listening, I think you'll recognize some of the names from his coaching tree. That's what makes him pretty important even today. Majors was a 1956 consensus All-American, Bill. 2 years he rushed for 1,622 yards, 15 TDs on 386 carries, while throwing 80 for 148, 1135, and 10 TDs. He was a dual-purpose quarterback at a time when there weren't very many of them. He ended up finishing second in the Heisman to Paul Hornung. Notre Dame running back, played quite a while with the Green Bay Packers. Took some time off for some gambling issues and didn't go play baseball or anything in between, though. Johnny went to the CFL. Bill tried to play for the Alouettes, did for a year, and then went back home to college to be a graduate assistant. Ended up getting a head coaching job after stops at Mississippi State and Arkansas, Bill. By the way, at Arkansas, he coached Jimma and Jarrah, Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones, to a national title, by the way. Another graduate assistant on that staff at that time, a guy named Barry Switzer. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Never heard of him.
But then Johnny goes to Iowa State, Bill, 1968. In 71, he takes the Cyclones to the first bowl they'd ever been to. Iowa State hadn't ever been to a bowl game until 1971 and then 72. So then he goes to Pitt, Bill, in 1973, wins the national championship. Hires some pretty good guys there. Jackie Sherrill, Dave Wanstatt, Jimmy Johnson, Phil Fulmer, John Gruden along the way, David Cutcliffe. Those are all guys that
It's like the who's who.
fall
Yeah.
underneath Joni Major's tree. And he's kind of one of those mythical creatures from Knoxville up in the Tennessee woods. Little side note: I happen to know his brother Bobby, who's in the chemical industry. Believe it or not, up that way. So, anyway.
So do you fall under his coaching tree?
No, the only tree I fall under is the one that's promoting the most shade at the hottest part of the day when I have the least amount of energy to do anything, which is from about 8:30 till about 7.
I thought that's the one where your new pool's going.
I think once I lay down there, that'll probably be it. I'll be taking the long rest while Carol. What? I don't know what would grow best over that, but I hope they don't. I hope nothing grows there. Reminds me of playing golf with a famous guy from around here that was fairly high up the ladder with the Pentecostal Holiness Church, and his son was a pretty good friend of mine and worked with my dad. And we were playing golf at the greens one day, and years ago, I was probably 18, and I may have said something that I shouldn't have said in front of somebody that was, fairly high up the ladder there.
Mm.
And he turned to me and said, "Hey, don't feel bad, Scott." He said, "When I hit a bad shot on the golf course, I don't cuss, but I spit." And so I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, We take about 4 steps further, and he stops. He puts his arm around me, and he goes, "By the way, where I spit?" "Yes, sir." "Yeah, the grass never grows back there." Grass is not growing underneath the Korean baseball organization, Bill. Not under Koo Chang Moo. Why is that so funny? The best part of that story is that Eric Jokic is behind him, right behind him. And then you got Kang Jin Soon, who is the hitting phenom, and right behind him, Jose Fernandez. So we're going to get into it real quick, if you don't mind,
who's
Bill.
going to be the first team that snatches Jose?
Somebody's. How about getting Koo Chang Moo?
Any of these guys? I feel like
Wait till I tell you where they are. You have to believe these stats would start radically changing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to believe it. All right, first of all, I'm so sick.
So if baseball can get whatever their issues are figured out.
Did you see they got a new proposal today from the
Yeah,
players
I saw
back at like
it.
89? I have some numbers we can plug in to see what that means.
My question would be, I feel like because of the short, kind of abbreviated spring season, that's why you're seeing these guys rake a little bit more than probably normal. Do you think that would extend to Major League
I hope
Baseball
so.
too? Because, we could go back to Barry Bonds and McGuire and all
Yeah,
that.
the flip side is if they don't play that many games, it may, let's say some of these pitchers are in pretty good shape. Maybe they don't get around enough to see them.
Hey, all I know is Bartolo Colon is still out there and wanting to come back.
Well, there's one.
I feel like out of the 150 starting pitchers, 170 starting pitchers, he could probably still make a roster somewhere.
Yeah, he's as good at making a roster at that level as some guy that was taking a knee a couple of years ago should be at making an NFL roster.
He's a big gap filler.
Yes, he is. So was Sabathia, but not as big as he used to be as a gap filler. NC Dinos, Bill, chugging along, 23-6. Doosan, the Bears, 19-10. LG, 18-11. Kai Woom, not really heroic at 17-13, but we'll give it to him. Kia, I'm sorry, but 15-15 is right about where Kia should be, I would think.
Yeah.
Lottie, 14-15. Samsung, blue, 13-17. KT Wiz, babe. 11 and 18, right there in the sweet spot towards the bottom. the Wyverns took a wrong turn and nosedived back to 10 and 19, but they are ahead of Hanwha.
Oh, poor Hanwha.
All right, here's your pitching stats, Bill.
Like, okay, so I don't.
Did I say KT was 11 and 18, looking good?
The names, like some of them are hits, right? But then we get into like your Samsungs and your, I would have expected a lot more.
Lions and Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should have a cool name when you're throwing Kuchang Mu.
Kuchang Mu.
Who, Bill? This guy's ridiculous. His ERA 0.66 through 41 innings pitched. He's got up 20 hits. 16 of them were singles, 4 doubles. He's 5-0. Has one game that he didn't get the win.
That's so. It's games like that would just drive me crazy as a pitcher, right? So we've seen like, and it's not so much like aces battling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're bringing Matt Scherzer, and he only allows 1 run. Felix Hernandez suffered through this for years in Seattle.
Right.
Gives up 1 run, and because your offense can't hit anything, like those type of games would just drive me insane.
Bill, in 41 innings pitched, 148 pitches.
Wow. So he's pitching to contact.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, he's pitching to contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Now,
So
Eric.
he's the Greg Maddux.
Yeah, he is. He is. He definitely keeps the ball in play, and it must be worth it if he's only given up 4 doubles.
That's crazy.
Then his infield is pretty good at letting him do that.
So 5 or 6 games.
6 games.
6
he's got,
games.
Yeah, 6 games, 148 pitches, 41 innings. So his average is 7 innings a game.
That's crazy.
The closest to him's got a 1.49 ERA.
That's like if think about every close Mariano Rivera had and put it into a game and repeat it 6 times. Like,
Yeah,
that's nuts.
yeah. That's just somebody has to. I don't
Even
know.
on a flyer, you got to pick this guy up.
Yeah, at least go see him throw.
I mean, the biggest knock I've ever had on Major League Baseball is when we got out of the era with Glavine and Maddox, right? The 2 major guys, and even Nagy a little bit, the 2 major guys that really just kind of, painted the corners or threw 80 miles an hour, didn't throw the hard stuff, right? But they were so productive.
Yeah.
And then it just all changed, and here's John Rocker, and here's John Smoltz, and here's guys that throw well above 100 but can't control the ball, can't keep it around the edge. Somehow give up 100 runs, but it's okay.
Right,
They've got the smoke. Get away from that, right? Some of your better pitchers are guys that brush the corners or develop more pitches. They don't all throw 112 miles an hour. And I think baseball needs to go back to that because everybody in the big league should be able to hit a 105-mile-an-hour fastball, especially when they can't place it.
Well, let me ask you this question, Bill. Does the advent of pitching launch angle after a number of years begin to affect the offerings that pitchers want to make, and does it affect how you teach pitchers coming up if batters are taking a different philosophical approach as a whole than they used to? Now, not every batter is going to do that, but do pitches become altered and pitchers become altered as a result of a new batting philosophy or practice, if you will,
It's
to take advantage of that? Or is that another one of my kind of stupid?
Well, no, it's probably going to depend a lot on who you are and what you can throw. and how good your stuff is. If you're throwing a curveball and it's lobbing down in the middle of the plate every time, it's going to go yard, almost guaranteed. But if you're throwing a curveball like Barry Zito threw a curveball, you're never touching
Obviously
it.
not seeing me swinging a curveball.
The launch angle thing it's going to inflate numbers both ways. So you've got numbers of strikeouts that are going to go up just to an absurd rate, and then you're going to get the number of homers like we saw last year go up at an absurd rate.
That's one thing we don't need around here. More homers.
It's just I find it funny that in an era of baseball to where it almost feels like the commissioner said, hey, we need to provide more pop in the bat and we need to get more fans watching this. Who cares about strikeouts? Let's show some analytics of launch angle. When I feel like if you just played small ball, you would just ransack these teams. Like, honestly, like, hit for a single once in a while and see how that works out for you.
Right. Well, hitting isn't a problem for Kang Jin Soong. He's batting .468, Bill.
Does it count if he does it over there?
It should. If he's playing against the other guy.
If somebody does it this season in a shortened baseball season, do you think it counts?
Well, it has to count for something.
I mean, if you hit over 400, that's still impressive.
I think so. Especially, I'd like to see how this guy's performed against this guy.
Yeah.
But right now, Kang Jin Soong is batting .468. 79 at bats, 37 hits. Golly.
That's raking.
Yeah. Now, Jose Fernandez is batting .417. He's got 120 at bats, 50 hits. Those are the two guys that are batting over 400. What I would like to do, and I will do, if these numbers are still holding up here, and so are our friend on the other side slinging lasers like he must be doing, at least getting the ball over the plate and letting his unbelievable infield help him,
Yeah.
then I'm going to look and see how many times these two guys have faced that guy and see if it's less than some of the other guys, because that's got to catch up to. Somebody's got to win that battle, Bill, and I'm not sure who yet.
I don't know who. I mean, you would think it would err on the side of the batter, but
You'd think, but
is the shift in play? Is that what we're doing, the shift?
I don't know. But don't tell Ku Chang Moo.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Sports Radio. Reminding you, get that app today. Also, while you're watching Ku Chang Moo, come in to serve. Get a fresh cup of a Cafe Americana. And we're back! Excessive celebration. Scott,
Yes, sir.
how's baseball working out?
It's just going extremely baseball-like. Is that fair?
Do you think if they don't get something resolved, they're at risk of really spoiling fans off the sport even more so?
Yeah, I would say even more so because I think I think sports fans are a little bit like political junkies. In other words, I think you could have a core of people that are going to vote one party, and it doesn't matter whether, Cosmic Thunder is the candidate or the Cherry Goblin. That's so you're going to get these, and I think sports fans to some degree. I think you got baseball fans that don't care. We talked last week, Bill, about whether the agent should be the one taking the heat and not having the players look like the selfish people that they are, and that didn't serve them. But I think there's still going to be people wanting to watch guys throwing and swinging and hitting the ball. So will it diminish it? Yeah, it's fragmenting it, and it's a pretty rapid pace, Bill. And with all the other stuff that's available for people to do, I'm not sure you can alienate people like that.
Do you think that whenever baseball comes back, it's going to come back at some point, that baseball has learned anything through all of this, and especially watching other sports and how they push their promotion in different ways and venues and etc., that baseball can take a lead from, say, the NBA or take a lead from, even UFC, as far as pushing teams or maybe showing different markets or whatever, showing players. So your Mike Trouts or showing whoever, we'll say Vlad Guerrero Jr. in Toronto. I mean, there's good young talent.
Sure.
Anybody, Alcura Jr. in Atlanta, Soto in Washington, there's good young talent in baseball to push this sport even farther that baseball never capitalizes on it. Or even pushing teams. So maybe the Angels get hot and then you get on the Angels bandwagon, and that way you're not watching the Cubs or the whoever all the time. Like, that's where baseball needs to be able to adjust on the fly a little bit better. If you're not going to promote it as a solo sport, which I understand, and you want to promote it as a team sport, that's when you got to have those swing games or be able to fill in a little bit differently, especially when the Astros get hot or the Cardinals get hot.
Well, yeah, because every team has their own network.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like that you can't watch them if you want to. But, Bill, I think it's bigger than that. I mean, before all of this stuff came down, before COVID we were getting ready to watch them begin to dismantle the minor leagues.
Yeah.
We were there were things in play that looked to me like long-term cost reduction, let's pull it back in kind of a mentality, and let's not be so exposed on so many fronts here. Let's draw it back in. So if those kind of thoughts were happening before, I think the owners, because of the fact that they, I believe, did a lousy job of hiring representation going all the way back to the days of the original free agency and collective bargaining, Marvin Miller, all the way back to the 70s, Bill, that they have been beaten up in terms of the players union and the collective bargaining agreement. And when I say that, I don't mean from my point of view.
Right.
I mean from their point of view. That I think whenever they feel like they have to put their back up, if you will, whenever they have to stand up against them, they have no choice but to take a unified, fairly firm stand, because if they don't, that union will just roll right over them. The union has almost made it harder to negotiate because it's so darn strong.
Do you think baseball would be a better product if you didn't have the single A, double A, triple A, and just went to one solid deal like the G League, and maybe expanded rosters at that point? So maybe you've got triple A, but it's double the roster, and that's all there is. There's no 2 to 3 other teams. That's all you've got.
Yeah.
And you put those teams in different, so your Oklahoma Cities, teams that don't have your or maybe at Texas because it can hold it or handle it.
Yeah. Bill, I would say that's most likely the direction it's going, because at some point I think when they do that,
Yeah.
it's when they have surrendered to the idea of grassroots baseball, kids going out, because once Durham doesn't have the bull, once that happens, I think they might as well just tear those things down and put up basketball goals everywhere.
But I think that makes your product better.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm saying I think I agree. I think that's where it will end up.
Because no offense to some of these guys that are trying to work their way up through all the A's. It's just at some point there's got to be a limit. Like we could stretch it out to quadruple A ball,
Sure.
and you and I could be in the league and just know we're not getting anywhere. It's just we're playing baseball to
Right.
not get anywhere. I feel like if you really, and it's the same thing. There's in most sports there's too many teams to where the talent is so distributed, unless you're the NBA and you can pick and choose. Of maybe I've got a star here, but most of the time, and especially in baseball, one guy is not going to win you anything.
No. The best there is might be able to win you 1 out of 4.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I just feel like if you compacted a lot of things, and I know it doesn't drive money that way, and I get that, but it feels like the product would be a lot better to watch. Everything involved with it would be a lot better to watch. You're truly at that point getting the best of the best, and we'll see how it lays out at the end.
Well, I think we'll end up there. My thought would be that you'd end up with something similar to, this is going to sound like nothing's changed, but I'm going to say A-ball, double A, and triple A. I think that, and people are going, well, that's what it is. No, there are many, many leagues below that, way down. And so if you start there, that might be a starting place where you still have an A-ball.
Well, and think of the competition that would drive throughout players, right?
Yeah.
So obviously Mike Trout would probably be safe. But those guys that are borderline fringe guys, like Joey Gallo comes to mind, like
that piece of dead weight that the Red Sox shipped out west.
Right, he's right there. We may want to cut Mookie. It would drive so much competition, and especially if you've got, let's see, most rosters probably have 2, but in an expanded roster situation, if you got 3 guys behind you that also play first base and you come into a slump, well, you got 3 guys. Who cares what your name is on the back of that jersey?
Right.
Because we're paying these guys decent money too.
You bet. It's like a quarterback room.
Yeah, it can be challenging unless you're Aaron Rodgers.
If they play this playoff, Bill, one of the things that's been talked about would be a universal designated hitter. In other words, whether you're not, because they'd be playing both sides against each other, so they would have a designated hitter. I wrote down, I think, are the top 5 DHs in baseball.
I know who number 1 is. All-time number 1.
Oh, this is this is current players.
Oh, just current?
Yeah.
You know who the all-time is.
DH?
Played in Seattle.
All-time DH played in Seattle. All-time, I don't know that I'm going to probably agree with this.
He had a brother who played with the Yankees for a little while and also played in Seattle.
Who?
Edgar Martinez.
Oh,
All-time greatest.
What's his exit velocity?
They didn't count that back then.
Okay, well then you know what? Deacon Jones doesn't get the sack record
Not
either.
as fast as juniors, so we'll just put it that way.
I got Nelson Cruz.
Nelson? before or after PEDs?
During.
How is it that he has played just remarkably better? So he gets.
He's only
found out,
39, Bill. He's
and
a young
he's got
guy.
eyebrows of a 21-year-old.
He's got Anthony Davis.
He's
Got Anthony Davis eyes.
like it's crazy. Like his stats have stayed steady or even better than what he was on PEDs. Like he had one blow up season and then all of a sudden, you know what? I'm sorry, and everybody forgave him, and then now he's still hitting home runs. Like it's crazy.
I'll show you. Maybe he just got smarter because he's 39 now. Am I a homer here?
Is that not the road to go though?
I think it's the way to do
Like
it.
say you're an
The-
average
yeah.
hitter that maybe can hit 20 bombs a year, and then you're getting to the end of your
Yeah,
career.
blow
maybe
it up, man.
Last 5 years. Yeah, just hire him. Encarnacion comes to mind. I'm just going to
Yeah.
hit home runs. That's all.
Yeah, why not? If it works
Nuts.
for you.
That's nuts.
Okay, am I being a homer putting Martinez above Giancarlo Stanton?
Which Martinez?
JD Martinez.
No, he's a better hitter.
I think he's a better mentor.
He's also
Mentor.
He's not horrible in the field either, but
Didn't have to worry about it.
JD's always been a really good hitter, and even more so when he went to Boston.
Well, it's just something about
So
it.
was Castellanos. All those guys that played with the Tigers with Cabrera, like all those guys could hit, but then you bring them over to other teams, and it just seems like they got stifled in Detroit or something.
Right, right. These guys are all old. You notice that? They're all in their 30s.
Well, that's when you learn how to
Standard.
curve.
No, I mean, and can't bend down to get in, anything that's coming off the
Like
ground.
Stanton is an oddity, right? Like you don't expect Stanton to go up and just dribble a single in. Like you expect him just to smash the cover off the ball.
Okay. You're going to have to help me here because I really wanted to take Ohtani, but I went with, I hate to tell you, it's an asterisk. Alvarez.
Alvarez. Oh.
Jordan. And see, he's a youngin'. He's a youngin' in there.
He's all right. I feel like he still hasn't learned 100% how to hit all the way, though.
So I got Encarnacion in the top 10, but I got him down
Yeah,
7th or 8th.
he's kind of fallen out. I think he's maybe got one more year in him. But
So you like my top 3 then? My top 3 pretty solid?
who's the top three again?
My top 3?
DH,
Yeah, I had
JD.
Nelson Cruz,
JD
Martinez,
Nelson.
and then Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, it's not
It's a
bad.
limited field when you only have half the league to pick, but be interesting to see.
You didn't have Panda in there?
It'd be interesting to see though what, let's say, somebody like the Nationals would throw out there or the Dodgers for their DH. That'd be fun to kind of predict because I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean it'd be hard because a lot of these, especially the National League teams, if it was to go to this, are probably at a disadvantage because some of their hitters may be better than, or some of their pitchers may be better than some of the guys that they have in the back. I'm trying to think throughout the league who else would be a DH. I mean, nobody's super consistently.
Pete Rose probably got a little bit slap one.
Nobody consistently comes to mind that DHs all the time. A lot of teams just spread it around.
Yeah, it'll be interesting though if somebody comes back and comes up limp,
It's a
third game of the comeback. All of a sudden, okay, we're DHing this guy. He was our center fielder, but he's gonna have to DH now.
Like that's a high probability too. And I was listening to somebody this morning, and I forget who it was, but they were saying if you're a pitcher and you blow out your arm or whatever, you may not come back for 2 years.
Yeah.
You're missing next year too. What was it, Judge? Was it Judge with the Yankees that just recently had surgery?
Yeah, and a lot of people were, he had surgery. One of the Red Sox was coming off surgery too. Can't remember which one now, but a couple of those guys were. And that's something else I want to talk to you about when we shift gears here and talk NBA. There's a lot of opinions on who's benefited from the layoff, what it means in terms of moving forward, and how it all shakes out. I got a lot of information on that. But I think Kendrick Perkins has some interesting insight into who he thinks may benefit from.
I'm surprised Perk doesn't want to get back in the league, especially with Aldridge going down. Like,
Yeah.
Perk can't be that old.
Yeah, Utah needs some help there at the 4 or the 5 too. don't
Yeah.
they? Yeah, they do.
But they're playing Pirtle right now in San Antonio, and I don't even know who their backup power forward would be at this point.
Right.
So, I mean, at this point, it feels like you can just because what they're giving them the room to claim free agents,
Right.
whoever. So DeMarcus Cousins is out there. Somebody's gonna pick him up.
Wow. Wow. Just for the short term? I mean, some of those things make you
Might as
wonder.
well rent him.
Yeah.
I mean, even if the price is what $5 to $7 million, I feel like you might as well rent him. What could it hurt? It could only advance your team, and it's not like he's lost so much athletically that he's not a good player anymore.
Yeah. I suppose it's just so. I mean, how all of this affects who you bring in, how long can you sign them?
Yeah.
The whole thing is just how it affects your salary cap. All of that is just crazy.
Do you pick him up because somebody else doesn't want him to pick him up? I mean, it's going to be weird because of all the.
Pick him up and put him on your bench just so somebody
Yeah.
doesn't beat you with him.
What are the rules going to be pertaining to the guys on the other teams that aren't actually in this thing? Obviously, you're not going to be able to go out and just sign whoever off that team, but like I can't go rent Steph Curry for a year. But we've always seen like baseball do this and basketball to some degrees where you kind of cut people late and you try to add them at the end to make a little.
Right.
Andre Iguodala is always kind of falling in there. I don't know. I don't know who would be out there. I mean, what is Collison going to come back? Not
Wow.
Nick, but Darren. I mean, he's talked about it before, but
Yeah.
never did. And I mean, DeMarcus, I think, is probably the biggest name out there. I still don't know why nobody has Jamal Crawford, and even before the season didn't have him. So, I mean, he could be a good sixth man if he's still playing a little bit. I mean, I don't know.
The idea that the Thunder would put Andre Robertson on the floor. First of all, I think it's not going to happen. But would you do it if you thought you could generate any value in the guy at all so that you get something for him? Is it worth it?
I don't know I don't think you're going to get any value out of him anyway. Even if he just, unless during this whole recovery process,
He's learned how to
developed,
shoot a three like Ray Allen?
he developed a scratch of an offensive game. I mean, being a defensive genius or wizard or whatever only gets you so far. And
Well,
there's only so much or so many of those guys on a team anyway.
Well, because it requires athleticism that would be the same as being a 6'6" corner in
Yeah.
the NFL and being able to react and respond. And who knows what he's got? I'm just wondering.
I mean, I think you
Throwing
put
out
him
there.
in to use up fouls, maybe. I mean, you're going to have to eventually probably play Harden or your
Yeah,
LeBron or whoever,
yeah.
Paul George. Use fouls, I guess, but I just don't see that working.
Yeah. Bill, how much time we got?
All the time in the world. Yeah, let's take a quick break, actually.
Yeah, I want to come back and talk about my favorite player in the National Basketball Association. One, Kevin Cupcake Durant.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Sports Radio. Reminding you, get that app today. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, and Facebook. Hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, catch us on Crossover Sports Radio.
Oh, there too.
I feel like Samuel L. Jackson's going to come busting through the door with John Travolta.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that Royale with cheese stuff going on there, isn't there?
It's got mayo on it.
Yeah.
Ew, who eats mayo on a hamburger? What?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of Kill Bill Volume 2 the other day. You know,
That is always on.
I know,
Kill Bill.
and it's always the same part where he's in the trailer when she shows up, and they bury her alive.
There's
There's got to be a better way.
There's not a day you can't go by and just scroll through your guide and see Kill Bill volumes 1 or 2 on somewhere.
Yeah, I'm a Uma fan. I'm a Uma fan.
I'm hit and miss on her.
Well, I think she's pretty tough. Hey, anybody take that needle plunge right into the chest there?
Thought you were going to say left foot to the face.
No, that too, but I was just thinking about the whole scene there in Pulp Fiction. That was a little gasping when it happened. That was a great scene. Well, time for Scott's thoughts.
Ooh.
And I realized just an angry old man. I don't know any better, and that's fine.
Well, Chase only thought you were 30, so.
Yeah, okay. Scott's thoughts this week. It's either Cupcake City one or why Kevin Durant resembles something stuck to the bottom of my shoe. Told the Undefeated on Friday he's not going to debut for the Brooklyn Nets during the 2019-20 season. And he did tear his Achilles. That's a horrible thing to go through. Right?
I would assume so. I've
Yeah.
never had it.
Year removed, though, from the injury. Year removed. July 31st will be. You got about 4 little paragraphs here, Bill. He says, I, me, or mine 19 times. These 4 paragraphs. In fact, Bill, I walked in without any precept and said to a woman who happens to share the same house that I live in and is currently digging a hole in the backyard,
Does Carol know about her?
that simply said this, Bill. I read this and I said, who said this? And she said, Kevin Durant. It's just best for me to wait. I don't think I'm ready to play that type of intensity right now in the next month. It gives me more time to get ready for next season and the rest of my career. My season is over. I don't plan on playing at all. We decided last summer when it first happened that I was just going to wait until the following season. I had no plans of playing at all this season. The 10-time All-Star said he had been very comfortable rehabilitating without pressure in Los Angeles. I had to reset and totally focus on just me and what I wanted out of this thing. For the first time, I felt like I was in my own space rehabbing. I didn't feel like I had to be a part of the team and travel with the team and do everything like I was playing.
Sounds like a real team guy.
Wow. And I know he's just taking care of himself in his career. It's load management. If there were any other part of him that didn't reek with the same level of I'm entitled, nobody understands me, I'm doing the best I can, I got extra burner accounts, then I wouldn't feel the way I feel. But basically, Sprinkles boy over here is just killing me, man.
Can I agree with his statement and hate him at the same time?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. I get it, but I just think you got to be the poster guy for Sprinkles. I do.
I feel like the media is blowing a lot of this out of proportion, coming off of what he came off of, and then trying to go back in the finals and just wrecking his season essentially. Which, whether he was forced or felt 100% or whatever, it is what it is, right? To where you go into this season and we fully thought that he was going to be out for the whole season. And now because of the delay and everything else, there's a chance that he might be. And then the media is trying to hype it up, and then Vegas is getting nuts with blowing up the odds in different ways, in different shapes.
What if he doesn't feel like there's a chance when the season starts next year? Does he sit out?
No,
we don't have the pieces to win. We don't have the pieces to win a title. I really don't know.
We don't know what that team's going to be anyway.
Man.
Like, what is that team going to be? This is one of those situations that you had a good young team and you were building up, and then you decided to blow all that up, right? Because Dinwiddie's only going to take a step back because you got Kyrie now. LeVert's going to take a step back because whenever Durant gets on the floor, the other kid, what is it? Allen is taking steps back, even though he's probably starting a little bit more than DeAndre is.
You can give me all the X's and O's reasons,
Yeah.
and I understand from a medical standpoint, but I promise you, I think anybody that paid any attention to anything to do with the NBA, if I read this and didn't tell anybody who just said this, overwhelmingly people would know it was Kevin Durant. That's the point I'm making.
I would think so.
It's hard for me to believe that if everybody thinks he's soft, that he isn't soft. Just a little cream cheese. Just a little bit.
You know what's funny is, so go back when Kyrie played with LeBron in Cleveland, right? They needed that third guy being Kevin Love. So very similar to the Miami days with Bosh and Wade. When you bring it over to Brooklyn, right, it's who's going to be that third guy whenever this thing, because they're going to need a third guy. Almost every team has a third guy. So I don't think it's Allen. It could very well be LeVert, but normally it's not the same guys that play similar positions. Normally it's a power forward or a center. Don't be surprised if a guy like a Serge Ibaka were to go there in the next couple of years.
That'd be a pretty good fit for them. That'd be a pretty good fit.
Because a guy who doesn't need the ball, a guy that can just kind of roam around the basket, maybe that gets Ibaka back to his old ways of playing when he was with the Thunder and kind of dominated a little bit more.
What about a Steven Adams as a center up there?
And they've got, I think the center part is what's killing them right now. They've got old and young talent, but they're the same player. And I don't know that Adams provides much. Cantor, I think, would be a better option in that system than what they have, or even a Nurkic or something like that. Somebody that's got a little bit of an offensive game, but Cantor, I think, should be a more valuable.
Can distribute it up. Can distribute it a little bit as well when necessary. Kick it back.
Well, I just don't understand why more teams aren't just after Cantor because of what he can do offensively. I know defensively he's a liability, but so is every center nowadays, just because of the pick and roll game.
Yeah.
But offensively, and him able to get just almost every offensive rebound.
So it can go bare still a little tough to get past it unless you're a virus and you can sneak past it.
I find the team interesting. It'd be interesting to see when it finally does happen. I personally think he should sit out until next year and let all this pass. Make sure you're 100% healthy. I don't think you need to come out with a statement every 5 minutes of not even say anything about the team, which makes absolutely no sense. And if you're Kyrie, who may be one of his best friends, nothing was said to Kyrie, and Kyrie's on injury too. So it's, what do you care about this team? Is this really your home, or are you going to go play in Washington next year? What's going on?
Yeah. Again, we talk about this a lot. It's what you can say, whether you're justified in saying it, or should you say it.
Do you think,
like Fournette in Jacksonville? I still think that was idiotic.
Do you think he gets into burner account fights with himself?
Only when he's extra sensitive.
Like, you know how much time and effort you have to put in to A, create a burner account, B, go onto these message boards and fight random other people about who and whatever about yourself. Like, take the mental side out of basketball for a second and then put that back into having a burner account. Like, too much free time. Like, go get a Kia deal or something. I mean,
yeah, they're 14-14 in the KBO right now.
All he's got to say is, I make X amount of million. Who cares?
Yeah, the fact that bothers him, once again, goes back to why I say,
yeah.
Who said this? We all know.
Most people forfeited and said you were the first or second greatest player in the NBA right now at one point in time.
Yeah.
And you're worried about what?
Yeah, that's not enough.
What me or you were saying about him? Like, that is nuts.
Yeah. Well, thankfully his old team still loved him a lot.
Like when we talked about what was the next 30 for 30, I think you're right. I think it's going to have to be the whole Durant, Westbrook, and then
so good.
going into the Warriors
Yeah.
years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it'd just be great. It'd be great because you could get Perkins to say whatever he knows.
Perkins doesn't care, man.
No,
Okay,
no.
here's the dumb part about Kendrick Perkins. The fact that he's not saving all of this up. He's using any
Yeah,
and
he is.
everything.
Where's his
to,
book?
Yeah, to get out in the no, you save all this up and go, ESPN, look what I've got.
That's right.
Documentary.
That's right.
Now Westbrook's not going to talk on it, but I guarantee you could probably get Jimmer Fredette
Right.
and Kyle Singler and whoever else.
How about Reggie Jackson?
Reggie-
You
oh,
know,
Reggie,
he'd talk.
yeah.
Yeah. I bet a bunch of them would. I bet you could get Oladipo and some of them. I mean, now he came a little later, but I bet it'd still be
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Jeff Green.
Oh,
How about when all that came together?
would
He'd
be-
be interesting,
Jeff
wouldn't he?
Green by himself would be an interesting 30 for 30 for all that has happened to
Yeah.
him in his life.
Yeah.
And then
Health-wise, and
you had the
all the places he-
expectations of him being Kevin Durant essentially.
Yeah.
And then kind of getting stifled when Kevin gets there, and you thought it was going to be those two guys
Right.
running the team.
Yeah, and then you thought it would be the triplets, and then there
Right.
was the triplets, but it wasn't him.
Right.
And then the next guy comes along, and it's Ibaka, and all of a sudden he's having heart issues and finding a home in Boston. Yeah, that would make a really interesting story. Bill, the NBA, 13 Western Conference teams, 9 teams from the East. You had to be 4.5 games back or closer. We talked a little bit about why they had to settle on 8 games, that not everybody played the same amount of games, but collectively they had to hit a number so that everybody would get paid for their local television deals. So that's how this came about, which then results in having to use a winning percentage as the seeding at the end. They'll base the opportunity for the play-in will be on winning percentage as opposed to games up or back, simply because they're not all going to have played the same number of games.
Right.
But it still looks like it's going to be a tough go in terms of whether or not Washington can creep up high enough to join make the 8th seed in the East. But what do you think? You got New Orleans, Portland, San Antonio, Sacramento, and Phoenix.
It won't be Phoenix. I would almost guarantee that.
And aren't you pretty much New Orleans and Portland are probably the two that have the best
I
opportunity
would
to
like to
compete with
see.
Memphis?
I'd like to see New Orleans get in there.
Well, I would too.
I think Memphis slides. I feel like it's probably going to be Portland, but I would like to see New Orleans get in there.
Yeah, I think the league would too, Bill.
I'm just over the Portland thing, right? Like, Damian Lillard's great. I get it. CJ McCollum's adequate. I get it. Nurkic is always hurt. The rest of their team is scrap. I mean, they're average players that we are supposed to assume are going to lead them to a championship because occasionally Damian Lillard can hit a 3 from 30 feet. Like, it doesn't make sense. Then he just gets lost in the shuffle and we'll have one big game in a series and talk a lot of trash after that and then drop a mixtape. Great for you. Like, it doesn't, until Damian Lillard, and I'll say this, I'll give him 100% credit whenever he leads them over Houston in what was it, 2 years ago? That's a great series by him. But until Damian Lillard truly gets a sidekick or truly gets a third option that can really be strong, guys like Zach Collins who need to step up, other guys around him that need to step up that just never have, and I guarantee you will never do it. And it's just going to be him and McCollum. And can this work? Can Dame and CJ work? No, they can't. They're not Steph and Clay. It's not the same talent.
No, it's not. And it seems like that they weren't a team, at least playoff-wise, that could, when one, and talking about the backcourt, where one necessarily could own the entire backcourt when the other one was having an off night. They didn't see an awful lot of that.
So here's a.
But so you think New Orleans is the most likely of that group of 6 to?
I think it's Portland, but I want New Orleans to be in that. The vast difference from CJ and Dame's game compared to a Clay and Steph is the fact that when Steph and Clay drive and they dish the ball out to the other person, the other one can hit a spot-up jumper.
Yeah.
CJ and Dame need the ball in their hand to create a space to where they hit that spot-up jumper. It's not they're standing flat-footed ready for it. It's never that. And it's that reason why this team will never be in a championship. Now, this season could be the anomaly, right? Because it's the unknown and we don't know what's coming back.
But historically, you would also say, wouldn't you, that the players around those two backcourts favored Golden State over Portland.
Portland, outside of the last year or maybe even year and a half, they've done nothing to help them either. Bringing in guys that are 6'7" and thin as a rail and super athletic, but can't shoot a basketball does not help Dame Lillard and everybody else. Because basically what you're doing is you're telling the whole world that Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum are going to get the ball, they're going to drive, they're going to shoot, and they're not passing to anybody. Yeah. The only upside and great piece I thought they've added
reminds me of a team from around here a few years back, Bill.
I mean, it's the same concept. It's just how those guys fit and play together. Do they play together if this was a duos tournament? Yeah, they could probably play great. But unfortunately, you got 3 other guys out there who seem to be lost in some instances. I do think the Nurkic pickup was a really good one. It's just the fact that he cannot stay healthy is the biggest issue with that team. And then the surrounding pieces after that are adequate at best.
Well, it's going to be interesting, too, to see a lot of acrimony coming out of Utah talk that you got a guard that is all-star caliber that wants out.
Who would that be? Mitchell?
Yes.
Wants out of what?
Wants out of Salt Lake City for a variety of reasons.
You know,
one is his relationship with Gobert, and 2 is the climate right now. There's one thing about Utah, and if you even watch the show with Jordan, or if you paid attention to Russell Westbrook's issues and some others, there's a certain feeling that people have regarding how African Americans to some degree are treated in Salt Lake in general. Now, I'm sure that the players there are treated very well for the most part, as long as people know who they are. Right.
I don't know. You feel like you see, like, if Rudy Gobert walked by, you'd be like, "Oh, hey, that's Rudy Gobert. He's only 7 foot tall."
Yeah. It's a little different there, but there's just so I don't know if they're even gonna. You'd like to see him try to hold it together, but I'd hate to see. How about him going to Portland?
Utah
next to Lillard.
Utah is a fabulously constructed team, but is only a C to B level team. So if you were to take out the top 7 teams in the National Basketball League and just throw them all out, then Utah would be your best team. Like, reasonably, 1 through probably about 7 is probably the best that there is in the league. The problem is their best is not better than the Clippers' 3rd best. And especially this year with Mitchell playing lackluster, for a better term, it's not like when he broke in and he was just really going after people. It's he's taken steps back. And then adding Conley, I don't think helped anything, to be honest with you. A guy like Rubio would have been a better fit. Conley's a defensive guy, but he's not going to help you offensively.
Bill, I got to tell you, I've heard great things from an X's and O's standpoint and all of that.
Yeah.
Quinn Snyder doesn't excite me as a guy that's going to get you over the hump. Just like we were talking before, you mentioned talking about Portland and where they stood and their backcourt versus, for example, Golden State's. Yeah, probably don't want to compare the head coaches there either in terms of which one's got the ability to lead players and something to be said about being Steve Kerr. I don't necessarily have to listen to everything he says about everything outside of basketball, and he's got his opinions. But I think he's a guy that probably understands what it takes to win championships, if anybody does.
The best thing that Utah has going for them this season is the plays that they run through either Joe Ingles or the plays they either run through Bogdanovich. Both of them can create for themselves. They're both just awkward because of how they control the ball and their just style anyway. But it shouldn't be that. You've got Donovan Mitchell, who should be your alpha male, who's should be handling the load, but he seems to defer too much.
I really like him, and most people do, Bill. Why do you... What's that intangible thing that... Is it just his...
I think he's overrated.
Do you think that people just... Is he like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? You just kind of pull for him because he looks like he's having fun when he plays?
It's a Dwayne Wade thing. It's I worked hard at Marquette, and I didn't really get drafted as high as I should have. And
so it's just kind of pulling for him.
But it's also that flavor of the month, too, right? So
see, I think that way of Holiday in New Orleans.
When the guy breaks into the league, right, and he shows flashes of what he could be, but never really hits that cap. We've seen this a ton of times before. Not saying Gilgeous is going to be that guy, but...
No, I brought him up. I compared him just because both of those guys look like they're having a good time doing what they're doing.
Well, and that's what you want to see.
That's what I like.
You either want to see the guys that are having fun out there and that can really play the game of basketball, or you want to see the complete opposite in the guys like Michael Jordan who really know how to play basketball, and Westbrook, who you can add into that and just go after.
I always, every time you name those guys, though, for me, I got to go back to Allen Iverson. Because I don't know that I ever had more disdain for a guy for some of the things that he would say off the court that just went away in my mind the minute I saw him do things on a court that I thought weren't only unselfish, they were not quite human at times.
Like, you want to talk about
the
guys
greatest grinder I ever saw,
who
Bill.
truly led a team by himself, it's Allen Iverson.
Gosh.
Like, for as great as Jordan and Pippen and Magic and all of those guys were, they all had
help.
Right?
They had help.
Allen Iverson had, a end of the year Mutombo, waning down.
He had 3 Andre Robertsons and a tall guy.
Eric Snow, who was equivalent to Mike Conley light. I mean, that's even being a little unfair to Mike Conley light. I mean, realistically, he had no. Who was it? Theo Ratliff.
Wow. That's good because
I think Aaron McKee was maybe his next best offensive guy, and he was average.
Yeah.
I mean, Iverson was insanely good. Good.
He found ways to get in the lane and get separation and get a shot off and take abuse and go to the line. And he did all that without the skill set that Russell Westbrook has.
Listen, despite all that being said about Allen Iverson, the greatest finisher around the basket I've ever seen in my life.
Singler?
Manu Ginobili.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Like, shots you would never expect to fall in, and somehow he gets it to just trickle over the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just insane. Like, I remember watching a game where he's driving, and obviously he's left-handed, and he's driving on somebody, and he gets pushed like 2 feet away from the basket, and all of a sudden he just sneaks his right hand up in there and dunks it in. I was like, no way. Like, there's no way. Like, I've seen better dunkers and finishers, but nobody finished every single time better than Manu Ginobili.
You know, one guy, Bill, that I could have compared to Iverson, and I'm saying this giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Ray Fralston?
Because he got hurt in a motorcycle accident that basically ended his career, was Jason Williams. dude.
He would have been
Jay was.
interesting to see as a pro, like
Because-
his whole career established out.
Yeah, because when you talked about somebody, and not that Duke, he didn't have help at Duke,
Yeah.
but when you talk
Okay.
about being able to put a game on your back when it mattered, he did things that you kind of saw Westbrook do the year he won the MVP and just had to kind of take games over.
I get the feel though, it would have been a better version of it, but he always came off more to me like a little bit better version of Jamal Tinsley.
Oh, now see, that kid from Iowa State was a baller. I loved
But
watching
when
him
Tinsley
play.
got to the pros, it wasn't the same.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
just a solid guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like Jay Will would have been a couple of steps ahead of him, but
Yeah.
not like Derrick Rose when Derrick
Yeah,
Rose
well,
got
yeah,
there.
because I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would have translated. All I'm saying is, when you said a guy put a game on his back,
Oh yeah.
I remembered what he did at Duke a few times when thankfully, God's team from North Carolina beat North Carolina. So that was always
Yeah,
good.
that team was loaded though.
Yeah.
Like Battier,
Yeah.
Boozer, man.
Yeah.
Like they were stacked. Like it's crazy when you go back and look at like all the highlights of like some Duke games and
Yeah.
some North Carolina games, and you really go back and look at them and like, oh, he played, and then like the sixth man will come in and be like, well, he was a star in the NBA.
Right,
What?
like or the Georgetown Villanova,
Right.
Georgetown Carolina stuff.
Like I have a feeling we'll be saying that about some of the guys that played in like Villanova now. That
Oh,
are winning
yeah.
championships.
Yeah,
Like
some kids can fill up the basket from Villanova now.
watch out for Diacomo.
Throw it up from way downtown.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Sports Radio. Get that app today. It's time for the all-name team on Excessive Celebration.
That's right. Lance Savage here, Dash Riprock on the other side for the
Oh
all-name
man, they've
team.
been gone for a while.
They are back. You know, they were quarantining, and I didn't realize that there's actually a Brokeback quarantine somewhere. So apparently that's where they were.
All cooped up at the Pacifico Ranch.
That's it. That's it. But Lance and Dash are back. We're glad to have them back. But it's time for the all-name team, Bill. And I'm going to start. This time we're going out west. We're the Mountain West Conference. I thought that might be a little different feel from the Sun Belt and some of the others. And frankly, not really. A lot of fun names here, Bill. How about Hawk Wimmer? And if your name's going to be Hawk, wouldn't you just as soon be going to the Air Force?
So
He's a guard.
if AJ Hawk had a daughter, or I guess a son, and then married Hawk, you could be Hawk.
You could be, or you could sell yourself and you could hawk your hawk.
And then you could watch Over the Top with
Hawk.
With Hawk.
That's right. Or you could line up next to Wolfgang Raybach, Tevier Shoot Pets. All these guys are on the offensive line. Well, he's a place kicker for Air Force. The other guys are linemen. Boise State's got Riley Wimpy. Wimpy. He's a linebacker, Bill.
Wasn't there
Riley-
a diary about him?
Riley Wimpy. He's a linebacker. And then they got a safety named Kafari Buffalo.
That's
These
pretty
are
solid.
man.
The Kafari Buffalo might rank up there with Bootsy.
It's good.
That's pretty
Kafari
solid.
Buffalo.
I wonder what his middle name is.
I don't know.
Wouldn't it be awesome if it was Hunting?
Oh, like the
Kafari?
other, yeah, like we had what the guy's name? What was it last? Bear Hunter.
Bear Hunter.
Bear
Yeah,
Hunter.
Yeah.
Kafari Bear Hunter Buffalo. Colorado State's got Tron Folsom. Tron.
Wow.
I think we know what his dad did back in the 80s or whatever.
Would you get off that game?
That's right. Played a little too much. And then Fresno State. I don't, sometimes these names are just because I think they sound like awesome football names. Leval Tatum III. Leval Tatum. Leave all remnants of human beings on the field, Tatum. That's a great one. Hawaii, okay. I got two from Hawaii. Blessman Teala, Manly Williams.
Yeah.
That is
I
awesome.
kind of like Blessman.
Blessman Teala.
That's a pretty solid name.
Blessman and Manly. Okay, those are good, but Nevada, wide receiver Romeo Dubes. You gotta like that. You gotta like that. He lights it up. He can light it
I
up
would
out
hope
there,
so.
wide
I
receiver.
would hope so.
New Mexico's got a running back named Devon Vigilant. And this guy, it's a shame this guy's on the offensive side because his name is so great if it was defense. Latavion Beaton. Because I just wanted to add a D and a W and have it be beat down. That would have been the great Latavion Beaton. And then San Diego State, Miles Cheatham.
Another Cheatham?
Yep. And then, so you got Miles Cheatham, a defensive lineman. He's from Texas, which makes sense because he's cheating. So they got that name. You know what their place kicker's name is? This is so great. It's so par for the course in terms of what we've seen. Their place kicker's name is Kyle Continente. Is that not beautiful? He's a Snedeker.
He needs to open up a restaurant.
He's hanging with Snedeker.
Going over to
San Jose
Continente's.
State. San Jose State's got Rico Tollfree. So, but how about this name? Lando Gray.
Is he one of the 50 Shades?
Well, I don't know. I was thinking he's like, is he striking back? Wasn't the Lando from the Empire Strikes Back or something? Wasn't that Billy D. Williams? Wasn't he? So you got somebody naming their kid Lando from Star Wars, somebody else naming their kid Tron. That's unbelievable. UNLV, how about this name? Biagio Ali Walsh. Utah State, Pelota Makakona. All right. Xavier Valladay. He's a running back from Wyoming.
That sounds like you got some consonants mixed up in there and it should have been
It's
different.
Xazavian. Xavier Valladay. And the last name, Bill, from Wyoming, Raghib Ishmael Jr., wide receiver. I'll be paying attention to that rocket from Laramie.
So what we've learned from all of this, the Big 12 still needs to step up their name.
I got some independents, real quick. I got some independents
Run it
for
in.
you.
Run it
You ready?
in.
Army, they got Zach Boobas, Cotton Dooley, Ridge Polk, Izzy Okoje, and Mondo Walker.
Ooh.
Those are great names. I got
Mondo.
BYU. I got Dan Smith up there just for fun. But how about the first name I got? Baylor Romney. So it's related to men, I'm sure, but is he Mormon? Is he Baptist? Baylor Romney? I mean, what would he just be like Notre Dame, Boston College or something? Now you got Gunnar Romney. How about Spencer Romney? And here's a name you might recognize. Chaz Ayu.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because his uncle is C.J. Ayu. Played at OU.
Wow.
Ayu. You like that? And then Liberty, Chipel Morris. Isn't that great? But anyway, I like Army, man. I like Zach Bubas, Cotton Dooley, Ridge Polk, Izzy, and Mondo. That's big
I'm
time.
going to be watching out for Mondo this year.
Yeah, I tell you, Army throws their weight around pretty well so far, don't they? I mean,
Mondo
haven't we
way.
noticed that?
Mondo way.
All right, Bill, your favorite subject, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yay.
But before we talk about them, let's talk about somebody you like.
Okay.
Minnesota? Want to talk about Minnesota? Dalvin Cook?
Okay.
Did you see where Gurley got his physical? 100%? Ready to rock and roll? Yep.
That means nothing to me.
So is he going to get it done? Are they going to get this deal done with Dalvin Cook? And should they, Bill? Do you know what he's asking for?
A new car.
I think he's asking for upwards of $15 million.
So you're going from, what was it, 2 seasons ago where he's injured,
Yeah.
to now you've got a,
I mean, last year was the best year he's had.
now you've got a guy who can back him up. I get it on Dalvin Cook's side. I don't totally, I'm not a fan of players trying to renegotiate in their contracts. But to be truly fair, I get it because of the position and everything like that goes into it, and especially in that specific offense where they rely on a running back so heavily. I get the argument for it.
Well, they can ask.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
Worst case scenario, they say no, you sit out, and they come back
okay.
4 years.
Here's the top 5 running backs right now and what they make. McCaffrey, $16 million. Elliott, $15 million. Le'Veon Bell, 13.1. David Johnson, Houston, 13. Derrick Henry, Tennessee, 10.2.
So it would be fair to say that 2 of those guys, that actually the first 2 you named, still have a long way to go as far as in their career and probably deserve that contract. The other 3 are probably pushing the tail end of their career, and especially if they're going to keep running Derrick Henry 400 times. I mean, you saw how fast that wore down Murray. David Johnson is
but
a
Henry's
will
an
see.
Alabama running back.
Right.
So, yeah,
So
there's that.
he's the only one who's broke the mold. David Johnson, we'll see at what form he can come back to, but was one of the top running backs at one point.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously they're counting on him to pick up the slack because they don't need to run
Who's he gonna
a passing
throw it?
attack
Yeah.
anymore.
Unless Deshaun has perfected the art of throwing it to himself.
Yeah, I think that they'll probably settle somewhere between 8-9 million, I would think, and then it's how many years. That's the thing, and I don't blame him because how many years do you get? That's the thing, you know. But if he could get, say they give him 4 years, 7.5 million. So he's making $30 million.
I think he turns that down.
Really?
I think he
4 years? Just guaranteed? 7.5 million?
How much of it's guaranteed?
All of it.
Well, knowing the Vikings, it wouldn't be hard pressed out of their range to do that.
I like this.
I'm trying to think of what the number would be. Like, I want to put it at, I think 4 years is good. And I don't want to say any amount of money you can get for 4 years, but I think 4 years is the max, right? You hit him at 4 years, whatever dollar amount.
But that's why I went 7.5. I was
Yeah.
trying to make it a little bit painful for you to say yes, even though it was 4 years.
Make something, you're going to have to make a lot of it guaranteed. So 4 years, whatever dollar amount guaranteed, boom, you get the deal wrapped up. Because you got to figure in the next 4 years, those are his prime years that he's got left. After that, sorry to say it, this is a business, and for all those who forget that it is a business and want to cry out on social media or a radio show or a podcast or whatever that Oh, I can't believe they treated me like that. No, it's a business. Get over it. Get over it.
Okay.
So you poured your heart into it. Okay, yeah, we
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
But
So did
move
everybody
on.
else.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah. Well, it's great that you mentioned that because our next little bit of information is about Dak Prescott. And you know what's fascinating, Bill? If you remember, it's like going back in time, the very last Seinfeld show that ever was featured a conversation about where a button was on a shirt. And it coincided with the very first Seinfeld show, which had featured a conversation about where a button should be on a shirt.
Right.
The very first excessive celebration we fired out from Serve Coffee, one of the very first things I asked you was about whether or not Dallas was going to get Dak Prescott signed, and you very presciently said, not until they get their running back signed, and they'll worry about him when they have to. They placed the franchise tag on Dak now, and a lot of interesting conversations. I actually read something today, Bill, that just really bothered me. It was that no matter what Zach asked for, Dallas should probably pay him because he's been underpaid the past 3 or 4 years. Are you kidding me?
Underpaid
Yeah,
for what?
that's a great point. That based on the market value and where he fits in the big picture, that he's been underpaid. Isn't it a team's job to get the most value out of a player until the player uses his market presence
Right.
to get what he's... That's... Okay, thank you. I'm glad you agree with me. All right, listen to this, Bill. Completion percentage. Okay, this is against players in the NFL that have thrown at least 1,200 passes, okay? And he came in 2016. So the only person that isn't on this list is Patrick Mahomes.
He'll be there tomorrow.
Okay, so here's because if he was, then all these numbers would be worse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So completion percentage, he's 7th. Passing yards, 6th. TDs, 9th. Interceptions, 11th. Interception percentage, 8th. TD to interception ratio, 8th. Passer rating, 8th. Sack percentage, 15th. Yards per attempt, 8th. Passing yards a game, 15th. Passing plus rushing yards a game, 14th. Pass success rate, 8th. Total QBR rating, 3rd.
You know what you just told me?
In the pocket, he's 6th in throwing the ball. He's out of the pocket, he's 7th. He ranks 10th against man coverage throwing the ball and 5th against zone coverage. And he wants to get paid more than any other quarterback in the National Football League.
You know what you just told me with all those stats? He's an average quarterback that will never win a Super Bowl.
That's pretty much the point I was
Yeah.
wanting to make. And I appreciate you sharing that. Because my thought is, why... You bet if you're going to pay him $40 million, your window to win the Super Bowl with the other talent that you have just narrowed down considerably.
Well, let's go back just a little bit. So the mistake was already made with the Amari Cooper contract, which was extremely too high. Because there's no way in this universe Amari Cooper is a top 5 wide receiver. You overpaid for Amari. Right?
I would say before the end of this season, he won't be the best receiver on the team.
I don't doubt that whatsoever.
Blake
Fasano
Jarwin.
is looking really. The other aspect to this is where I'm almost on Dallas's side, which is hard for me to say. If he doesn't want to play and he wants to hold out or pull whatever temper tantrum, fine. Andy Dalton is perfectly capable. Andy Dalton had led a Bengals team that was going nowhere to the playoffs 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to take Andy Dalton and not feel bad about it. To me, if Dak does come back, this is where you earn your money.
This
You've got
is
a
it.
year.
Yeah.
You've got a year to really prove. Has he stepped up and proved that he's a elite level quarterback that I feel can take my team to a... Sorry, the Dallas Cowboys are not my team, but can take my team to a Super Bowl or even a deep playoff run? No, he has not. Do I feel that way about Andy Dalton? No, I don't. But I feel more comfortable with Andy Dalton not throwing a temper tantrum about, hey, I need to get paid X amount of dollars and overthinking that I'm a top 2 quarterback in the league when you just point down the road and I would just pull up a picture of Patrick Mahomes, who is A, younger, and B, better, ANC has won a Super Bowl. Yeah. Are you better than that guy? Because tell me you are and not laugh.
Well, how about this? Tell me how much more confidence there is today in Dallas getting beyond the first round as there was when Tony Romo was leading the Cowboys that last year, when this is it, I think we can do it. We've got the pieces. We've got a young defense. It's really strong. We've got a quarterback that's pretty set. I mean, the level of belief in getting beyond game one of the playoffs is no greater today. Now, everybody will say that they're optimistic that this team could make it, but the limiting factor is the quarterback, Bill. It's not anywhere else.
By far and away, you saw their best success come from riding Ezekiel Elliott, and that's how they won games. It wasn't because Dak was making all these great plays. Defensively, a year ago, 2 years ago, they were far and away better than they were what they're going to be this year. I don't get it from his perspective, and I don't know what his agent or whoever is telling him that he's worth this amount of money. If Jerry Jones is smart at all, which, depending on which way the breeze blows, we don't know. It could go either way. There's going to be, I feel like there's going to be a deal done, but it's going to be a deal that I feel isn't what Dak wants, isn't what the Dallas Cowboy wants, and they're both going to be super uncomfortable with whatever they are.
And they're not going to be any closer to winning a title.
No, you're going to be 8-8, 9-7 for the next 4 years.
You know, how different would Dallas look if Russell Wilson was their quarterback? With the talent that they have, his ability to do some of the things that he does.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
They almost, like, even last year and the year before, even putting a guy like Matt Ryan there, a guy that's not afraid to take chances, may throw a couple more interceptions than a few people in the league, but I feel like that would be the better fit than Dak is. Dak is...
I think there's a lot better fits than Dak.
Why do I get the sense that Dak is emotionally detached from the team, even though it seems like he galvanizes, but it's because of how he manages himself?
Do you know where I think he would be a great quarterback? And I am absolutely sincere about this.
New England.
Tennessee.
Yeah. But it's... I mean, when you look at it, Tennessee is Dallas light.
I know.
I mean, it's the same situation, so...
But I don't have anything invested in Tennessee. I'd like to see Dallas at least...
Let me ask you this. So
I'm not... I just want to see them be relevant enough so that when they crash, it'll be worth something.
Is Dallas is Dak a top 10 quarterback?
10th, maybe?
So...
Maybe.
What guy would be the 9th and the 11th that you would put him against?
Oh, that's a good question. How much time do I have here?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
He'd be right in there.
Would he be below Dak?
Probably.
I'd put him below.
Probably. Jared Goff, I would put him probably below him as well.
I'm trying to think. Carson Wentz.
Wentz I'd put above him.
Okay. So I feel like that's probably where the
I'd probably, believe it or not, I'd probably put somebody like Teddy Bridgewater above him, too.
I'd put Teddy above him, just based on...
What about Cousins?
I feel like they're the same quarterback, honestly.
That's interesting.
I feel like they're dead even.
What about Kyler Murray?
You could switch them out, and they would look the exact same. I mean, you wouldn't even notice. You wouldn't notice. Murray...
What about Kyler Murray as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys? That'd be fine.
That'd be scary.
That'd be fine.
That'd be super scary. I think just because of upside, I would put Kyler ahead of him. But you put him on that'd be super scary. Think about the speed you have on the outside, plus Ezekiel, plus the ability to run read option or zone option.
Who was offensive coordinator? Was it Kubiak or was it Garrett when Quincy Carter was drafted by Dallas from Georgia?
I believe it was Garrett.
because they tried to do some things at the time that I thought were similar to what some of the teams are
Yeah.
running today. Quincy just didn't quite have the ability
Man,
to
though,
run the
Quincy
corner.
and Georgia with Champ Bailey,
Oh,
those
yeah.
teams were scary.
Yeah.
And I honestly didn't think Quincy was ever going to get drafted. But
Well, and then of course Bailey never did anything.
no, he wasn't very good.
No, did he play up in New England, maybe?
It's
Has he got a jacket yet?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he went in the
Members
year,
only? Is it members only jacket?
Did he go in the year before Ed Reed and all of them?
I couldn't tell you.
Like the Ray Lewis years? Did he go in with Ray Lewis?
Probably.
I think that's when he went in.
Yeah, I'd kill to go on with Ray Lewis.
A lot of people would.
Yeah. Yeah, it's murder to get in, from what I understand.
Overall, though, dollar amount wise, what do you think you paid Dak? And year wise, 4-year deal?
Oh, I'd hate to sign
Would
him
you?
for 4. I think you franchised him, so there's already a little bit of probably looking over the shoulder.
But that's
he
your
showed.
moment to shine. That's like you go out and you perform and
Yeah.
you make the big. I think players look at that the wrong way.
I'd go
as a-
3 and an option, and
3
the
and an
option be the team option
So that what, 50 mil, 70 mil?
for the 3 years.
Yeah.
Man, I'd pay him probably 30.
Because what you're going to think about 18.
I'd pay him. I'd give him 100
17.
million for 3 years with the team getting the
Wow.
option. Well, he's asking for 42 or something like that.
Okay, here's what I would do. I'd go this season, let it ride. I'd draft a quarterback next year because he would no longer be my quarterback. I'm sorry, he's not unless he just does something just absurd this year. I don't see it.
Is it a deep draft next year?
Now you got Trevor Lawrence, and who knows where the next Bryce Love might come from.
Yeah. Well, or one of those heralded all NFL Gary Patterson quarterbacks that he throws out there every year.
Yeah, is Klein
If
still
you-
available? Is
Hey,
there
yeah,
Klein
yeah, if
somewhere?
you think about it, the only quarterback that I could think of from TCU before Sammy Baugh was
We
our
got-
guy Dalton,
We got Joel Klein.
right?
Oh no, he played at
Yeah,
Kansas
K-State.
State.
No, Dalton. Dalton's it.
Boykin.
Did he play quarterback in the NFL though?
Yeah, I played in Seattle.
For what, a day and a half?
He backed up for a little while.
Yeah, fat Yoda. These quarterbacks.
You've been listening to Excessive Southern
Fat, sweaty Yoda. God.
on Crossover Sports Radio, reminding you get that app today. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and iTunes. And as always, remember, if you're at a TCU game, bring a towel for Fat, Sweaty Yoda.
Squeegee.